He publishes Virginia's most progressive newspaper.
She brings pride and her partner to Virginia Tech.
His volunteer efforts make a difference for his community.
She is Virginia's first openly lesbian elected official.
His students have been to Broadway and beyond.
These 5 remarkable people are Equality Virginia's Outstanding Virginians for 2012.
Long before Lady Gaga sang it, Nicholas Benton was born that way. Gay, yes, but also a born publisher who printed his first newspaper at the age of 7.
He was involved in his school's papers throughout his education and even wrote for his hometown paper in Santa Barbara, California.
When he was a graduate student in theology at UC Berkeley, he co-founded their chapter of the Gay Liberation Front. Since there were no print forums for gay issues, he created one, The Gay Sunshine, and wrote its first editorial. He went on to write for and edit the legendary underground newspaper, Berkeley Barb.
Cut to the 80s, when his assignment as a White House correspondent for an economic publication ended, he decided to stay in Falls Church. There wasn't a community newspaper, so he created the Falls Church News Press, which turned 21 this year. A gay-themed column runs every week, and the editorial page takes a strong stand on sexual and gender equality issues.
This had an effect on his community. During the political campaign against Virginia's so-called marriage amendment, the Falls Church Chamber of Commerce was the only chamber in the state to publicly oppose the amendment.
For his work with the paper, Nicholas has won numerous civic and business awards.
As a writer, Nicholas publishes a blog, Nick Benton's Gay Science, which is reprinted every week in Washington's Metro Weekly. His columns are about to be collected into a book.
I'm inspired by how our movement has worked to create space for people to develop their full potentials without fear. I'm inspired by my own ability to look everybody in the eye and say openly, this is who I am, who are you?
In 1999, when Jean Elliot first considered becoming communications manager for the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences at Virginia Tech, she wanted a workplace where she could truly be herself. Tech was the right place.
I actually came out in the interview process at Tech, and that just freed me up. I was free of hiding, free of fear, and able to create like never before. I could do the advocacy work I always wanted to do.
As soon as she arrived, she threw herself into women's and LGBT activities, all with full approval of the university.
In addition to these, she organized conferences and raised money for LGBT undergraduate scholarships.
As a former sports reporter, she's often on press row at Tech games, feeding stats and player biographies to the sportscasters.
One of her most satisfying activities is producing the Gay in Appalachia Arts Residency and Lecture Series, which she founded. Noted film directors, authors, and poets interact with students and the community in this annual fall event.
For the past 2 years, Jean has been visiting sub-Saharan nations in Africa with a Virginia Tech team that promotes education and health. A longtime choir director, she was thrilled to be greeted in one village by singing women.
Their joy was palpable. I mean, great joy. And it was so much fun to sing and dance with them.
In 2010, she brought the university president together with the LGBT caucus for the first time. The subject? Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli's attempt to curtail anti-discrimination protections in the state's universities. They mounted a forum that included Senator John Edwards and Claire Gastañaga, former state assistant attorney general and EV lobbyist.
Today, Jean and Sharon Crane, her partner of 11 years, enjoy Sufi dancing and hosting various groups at their river place for bonfires and potlucks.
Whether it's taking a stand as a proud lesbian or teaching African children the hokey pokey, Jean Elliot is making her mark on the world.
When Edward L Strickler Jr. was asked for biographical information, he sent these pictures: a Protestant Bible from the 1530s, a pyramid-shaped grave marker from the 19th century, and a 200-year-old tree still growing on his family's homestead.
These things are old, but his interest lies in how they reflect on how we live today.
History is one way for me to grapple with so many issues that we face in Virginia.
The Bible was brought to the New World by a religious group that urged our founding fathers to establish a government without a national religion. Still a debate in today's politics.
The grave is a reminder that the land where Edward's family settled was a dangerous frontier with vicious laws and destructive social stigmas.
The tree symbolizes health, which is directly impacted by people's connections to each other and the natural world.
As a longtime volunteer, Edward has been appointed to many task forces and commissions. When new issues arise, he helps develop ways and means to address them.
The appearance of HIV/AIDS provided Edward with an opportunity for constructive social engagement.
I remember the first meetings in Charlottesville with men and women struggling to understand what was happening with our friends and also with people we did not know, and then trying together to find ways to help.
His greatest joy is having an ally in James Schneider, his partner for more than 30 years. In the 1970s, they met at UVA's gay, now queer student union.
Their long, close relationship epitomizes his theme. Individuals alone can make changes, but lasting change is possible only when people unite to achieve a shared goal.
I recognize the necessity to address health and human rights together, working with others to help LGBT individuals, families, and communities achieve healthy, long lives. That has been my greatest privilege.
Sally Baird, who has served on the Arlington School Board since 2006, is Virginia's first openly lesbian elected official. But politics runs in the family.
Her father, an Akron, Ohio city councilman, took her to meetings in a bassinet, which he put in the middle of the table.
Sally reminisces.
My father taught me that politics don't matter as much as doing what's right.
When she moved to Virginia in the late 80s, Sally felt that the atmosphere around LGBT issues didn't favor her being an elected official. So she channeled her activism into a number of community groups, including the board of the Arlington Gay and Lesbian Alliance.
Then came the decision to have children, which got her involved in education issues. She ultimately served as co-chair of the Arlington Public Schools Early Childhood Advisory Committee and later joined the PTA.
In early 2006, Sally considered running for a seat on the Arlington School Board. Although some advised her not to for the sake of her kids, she remembered how her father's campaigns had energized her.
She took the plunge, and, as she explains,
thanks to a wonderful network of supportive friends and a progressive community, it was possible to be both a lesbian and an elected official.
Since then, Sally has championed a number of issues, including efforts to revise anti-bullying and anti-discrimination policies for Arlington's students, staff, and parents.
For her two sons, Ryan and Adam, Sally expects a bright future.
Each and every day, everything I do in my capacity as a school board member makes a difference in the life of a child.
The Norfolk-based theater company, the Hurrah Players, is a combination of the founder's first name, Hugh, and his middle initial R, Hurrah Players.
But this wasn't Hugh's first venture in the theater. That was when he was 7, in a barn on the family farm in North Carolina.
Hugh credits his career on stage and backstage to a nurturing family.
My father never really understood my wanting to put on plays and my passion for theater, but he was my biggest supporter from the beginning.
When he was studying for his doctorate in Massachusetts, he traveled to Virginia to play summer stock at the Cavalier Dinner Theater. He loved the area and never left.
After 10 years of working at Norfolk schools, he moved to Old Dominion University, where he still teaches.
Hugh has won a slew of civic and artistic awards.
Even more satisfying than awards is the success of his students, including actors who have worked on Glee and many Broadway shows.
Hugh and his business and life partner, Jerry Duck, have been together for 20 years, and Jerry serves as the treasurer for the theater.
They also co-produced the Miss Virginia telecast for 9 years.
Personally, I'm fortunate in never having to pretend to be anyone other than who I am. To my students and performers, we're just Hugh and Jerry. They know we're a team, sharing our lives together.
Hugh feels it's important that they see the pair as an example of what can be accomplished by partners in a committed relationship.
When you study theater, you learn lessons in life. The most valuable lesson learned is acceptance and equality for all.
And we can all say hurrah to that. Congratulations to Equality Virginia's Outstanding Virginians for 2012.